Yeah, no. Tell you the truth, it all started to change around the beginning of the 10th grade. I don't know how. I just felt it. There was something dark in Gary, though. I don't know where it came from. Whether it always been there, or whether it come to be because of the way people treated him at school. Remember, it would have been like the 8th grade. Some big bullies would shove us into lockers, rip the pockets off our shirts. We'd be pissed. We'd grumble about how we'd like to knock their heads off or kick their faces in. But the thing was, that was all wishful thinking. Maybe you go home, play God of War for an hour, just rip everything to bits. But you never really considered getting a gun and going after them. At least I didn't. Gary was picked on. That's a fact. We all were. Fat kids, skinny kids, Zitville kids, gangly kids like me. If you went big and on a team, you got it. I even saw some of the smaller players get pushed around by the bigger ones. That's how bad it was. This school, it's a big school. There's like 10 million kids in the hall at once. Maybe if there's an all-out, knock-down, drag-out fight, a teacher knows and tries to stop it. But if it's just some big jerk shoving you into a locker, who's going to notice? It's like when you're walking down the hall, minding your own business, and some bully will sneer at you and say, "Hey, faggot." Hey, faggot. To him, it's nothing. 2 seconds later, he's probably forgotten he even said it. But to you, it's etched in your memory. It's like a permanent scar. A week later, you're still asking yourself, why do you have to say it? Why do you have to pick on you? Does everyone think you're a faggot? Maybe you're a faggot and you don't even know it. You know the saying, sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me? It's a load of crap. A stick, that'll stop hurting after a while. But names? Names.
The attacks are not impulsive or spontaneous. More than half of the shooters had thought about the attack 2 weeks prior to the event, with an actual plan in place 2 days before. Some had actually conceived the idea over a year ago.
So grade 10 was my first year at this school. I never really had problems fitting in before, so I wasn't like nervous or anything. I should have been though. It's just so different from my old school. Of course you expect it to be different, but it's the way that it's different, you know? The moment you walk in through those big scary red doors, you can feel it, the hostility, the rigidness, the separation. Either you're popular or you're not. Of course, at my old school, we had popular kids too, but they were still nice to everyone. Over here, you're lucky if a popular kid even looks your way, knows you exist. I remember coming home crying for the first 2 weeks to my mom, telling her I never wanted to come back here. The kids were just so mean for no reason. They'd push and curse in the hallways and just have a genuine disrespect for other people. They were so accustomed to running things around here that it had gotten to a point where teachers didn't even bother to intervene anymore. My mom knew that I was pretty good at making friends, and she told me that I'd make some soon. She joked that if anything, I only had 2 more years to go. 2 years. I remember thinking that felt like an eternity. But now, come to think of it, I didn't even have it that bad. I think about guys like Gary, and at least I didn't get the attention that he got. I feel so horrible that I didn't do anything, that I couldn't do anything. At my old school, you didn't have that feeling, that one clique was so totally in power over everybody else. Like, it was great if you were a super soccer player, but it was cool if you could dance or play the guitar or draw really well too. And to judge someone for being smart, that would have never happened. That should never happened. Over here, I feel like all people care about is designer labels in sports, and it doesn't make any sense. And honestly, the only power a clique really has is the power given to them by the people who wish they were a part of it. Thank you.
In addition to depression, shooters seem to be full of anger and hatred towards others, but they will rarely express this emotion as it is usually deeply buried inside. This hidden emotion feeds as a strong feeling of hopelessness.
I understand you're a football player.
Yeah, that's right.
And do you think the way you stereotyped Gary and his friends had anything to do with what he did?
Well, let me tell you. Maybe we stereotype them, but they stereotype us too. Like, we're all big, dumb jocks to them, and I don't understand. That's just stupid. Like, Dustin Williams' GPA is way up there with a bunch of other of my guys. And who says they're not asking to be stereotyped? Walking around school, dissing on sports, dissing on school spirit. Aren't they kind of asking for it? And a lot of people don't understand how hard it is to work on the football team. I mean, you got all kinds of hours of practices on the week, during the weekends. You got 40 to 50 plays to memorize. And on top of that, you got to watch the tape of the team you're playing that Friday night so you could just survive out there and not get wrecked. And I mean, then you got schoolwork, which is another hassle. And then you got work, strength, weight training, just to survive out there. And the pressure is huge. And to be honest, a lot of our guys, the only way to blow off steam is by fighting. So everyone's looking for somebody to blame. And since I'm on the football team, and I've had a few scraps with them, everyone blames me for something that I never did. The day the guys brought Gary into the bathroom, I wasn't there. And I didn't do anything to stop it, and to this day, I still regret it. And it's always going to be in the back of my mind. But let me tell you something. Gary Sear was a real weirdo. Like, lately, he's been really asking for it, and I don't know why. He's always starting stuff, and for no reason. Like his ridiculous comment in ERC class about how there's no God. Who is he to say there isn't a God? Now everybody's talking like school is some sick and depraved place. It's so wrong. I went and talked to my parents about it and see what they said, and they said it was exactly the same thing while they were in high school. I mean, isn't it part of growing up to get used to getting used to being dealt with and messed around with? And everybody's cruel out there. You just got to get used to it. And now everybody's saying football players are monsters. That's just wrong. I still to this day don't know what got into Gary's head to blow up like that. But to say that it's because of a bunch of football players is a bunch of crap, and it's just stupid.
There has never been a generation as much turned off by adult guidance and attuned to peer pressure. Children are lacking in social values as they are influenced by the mentality of the modern world to fit in. We have removed grown-up wisdom and allowed children to drift by themselves.
Thank you for being here, Principal Bissonnette.
No problem.
I just have one question for you. Do you think the way you run the school had anything to do with what happened to Gary?
Well, let me just start by saying one thing. Running a school is like running a business in many ways. I know this might sound crass, but you're producing a product. In our case, the product is a high school senior prepared to go into the world and be successful in his or her community. So in a way, you can say that you're producing a product that the community needs to approve of, that they will buy into. Sure, I would love to be that guy. Forget his name. You know, from the movie Stand and Deliver. And produce a bunch of kids who value calculus over athletics, rock bands, or fashion show. But if that's not what the community wants, then what am I here for? With the trend towards two-parent families constantly out working, spending less time at home, or single-parent families where mom and dad are continuously working, the responsibility for raising children and instilling them with values rests more and more on the shoulders of the schools. Schools aren't supposed to just teach academics, no. Now we're expected to rear, nurture, coddle, protect, discipline, encourage, teach good hygiene and eating habits. Let me ask you something. If you're a teacher of roughly 6 classes, approximately 30 kids each, how exactly are you supposed to do that? A school teacher's job is to teach, not raise children. I myself have 3 kids of my own, and luckily for me, they are all good, moral, young adults. If you're looking for answers, I don't have them. I've worked my whole life and raised my kids. Many parents around here, many people around here, they believe, well, at least in this case, that the parents in this situation were pretty blameless. I'll be honest with you. I don't know what to make of it, and I don't have any answers. However, I truly and sincerely believe that this tragedy didn't have to happen. Maybe Gary was different from all the other kids, but needless to say, that doesn't mean he shouldn't have been treated as an individual like the others. Perhaps we should have a mandatory course in school that teaches kids to be more respectful and accepting of one another, no matter what. Would that be better than geometry or drama? The community has already made it clear that they want security guards and metal detectors in school. They even want backpacks banned as well. In my opinion, I think it's a shame we have to resort to such measures. But if that's what the community wants, I'm prepared to comply.
Most of the attackers in school violence had shown signs of clinical depression or other psychological problems. But schools strapped for mental health counselors are less likely to pick up on such behaviors or to give the immediate help because caseloads are so heavy.